Hello humans, I'm 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, and today we are finally going to finish the Workstation. It only took 5 episodes. I should probably address the elephant in the room. You might be wondering, 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, what the hell happened to your character? Upgrades is what happened, upgrades. We are using the Figura mod to add a cool version of the 𝐋𝐢𝐬. If you are familiar with 𝐷𝐷, you might have seen the series they did with 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, and the amazing ornithopter model they used for the 𝐋𝐢𝐬. We have a similar model on the server. But enough of that, I took the chance that we already have the Figura mod to get myself a cool new model for my character. Sounds.zip is the artist that made it. You can find them in the Figura Discord server. If you are interested in buying a model yourself, let me know on Discord, and I can get you both in touch. I'm very pleased with the end result. I really love how it looks. I still have the issue that I look super pale if the sun hits me directly, but nothing I can do about it. My character is very pale, and shaders tend to make things worse. But I'm super impressed with the eyes. The blink is honestly super cool to see, and the way that the eyes move depending on where you are looking, it's super cool in my opinion. I really love it. But that's not all there is to it. So far the model is somewhat similar to my original skin, with the hood and all of that. The artist went a step further and made it so I can toggle them, in case I don't want to use the hood that day. And there is something even cooler. Yes, I have fangs. Isn't that amazing? I'm so in love with this character. The hair is also super cute. They really nailed the picture I sent them. Oh, and look at this, the ears are so cute too. I asked them to make them a bit pointy, but not as far as an elf or anything. Something else that I think is super cool is the shape of the body. You can notice that the posture looks a bit more natural. It has a little curve in the back, as normal people do, which I thought was an amazing touch. The entire body has more curves and overall a much more natural posture to it, while still having the boxy Minecraft look. Look at it from the inside, there aren't that many polygons in the back, but it's just the right amount to make it look more natural. The boots look so amazing too. It's one of the coolest details of the model. I am honestly happy with how the clothes ended up looking. It retains the simple style I had before with the black clothes, but I don't know, it looks a lot more polished. Even without the new model, I think I'm going to keep the skin just for the clothes. I hope the humans like the model too. But let's see what happened between episodes, shall we? I have been digging a whole lot since the last time. It doesn't look like much, but every layer takes like an hour to do. The main reason why is that I'm using a very small amount of drills. I went for a rather cheap setup, and obviously, this isn't particularly efficient. For one, doing it radial means that it's not drilling the entire line at the same time, so that makes it take much longer. And it also works with a single layer at a time, so that takes even longer. As for the barrel goes, I found out that it somewhat works, but it also bugs out. There is a lot of stuff in the barrel, but there used to be several thousands of copper ores. What I figured out is that when you activate the contraption, it recognizes the upgrades it has. But if you leave the area while the contraption is running, and later you come back in, when you load the area, it doesn't properly load the upgrades, and they simply stop working. So if the amount of blocks is bigger than what a barrel can hold, the excess of blocks simply vanishes. That's the only problem I have found. I haven't crashed or anything like that. But obviously, losing thousands of blocks is pretty bad, so if you go for a design like this, always make sure to stop the contraption before you unload the chunks for any reason. I also reached a depth where diamonds started appearing, so I have been manually mining those to make use of fortune. I'm not particularly bothered with the rest of the ores. I'm getting way too many anyway. In the last episode, I visited an ancient city and got myself a couple of trims. I was all sad and bothered because I didn't get any enchanted apples or diamonds, but someone told me in the comments that apparently, these trims are particularly rare, at least one of them anyway. I'm not sure which one was it, but I guess I was pretty lucky after all. This is the first time that I play this version of Minecraft, so I honestly have no idea how these are supposed to work. I'm pretty sure that you can duplicate them with diamonds, so having one of each is ideal. Okay, so it is what I thought, just having one is enough. What I'm not sure is what am I supposed to do with those? To my understanding, I need a template or something to upgrade my gear to netherite, but I assume that template is something else entirely. I imagine this one is purely cosmetic for when I already have netherite armor. Whatever is the case, that will have to wait for another day. Now, what else happened between episodes? I think I removed this barrel already, did I not? What are you doing here again? A spruce barrel. Wait, what? There is a spruce barrel. Inside my spruce barrel. What kind of witchcraft is this? And who sent you? There is no note in here. Oh, cookies, I like cookies. And what are these? Oh, honey cookies. The honeyed apples are actually pretty good right now. I'm quite tired of eating fish all the time. How does one make a package like that anyway? I believe I once read something to do with packing stuff. Oh, that's the one. Yes, packing tape. Wait, I almost forgot. I finally updated the missions mod in the server. No one has tested it yet, but the details of the quests already look a bit more clear. And they also removed some of the buggy quests. Hopefully, it works better now that is updated to the latest version. I'm honestly really excited for this mod, and to use those coins for the shopping district. Now we also get a few rerolls for free, which is always nice. The mod also comes with an exchanger, which I presume is to convert between the various coins. I would show you how it works, but I need to fix the recipe for it before anyone can use it. Before I forget, let's get the drill going while we do other stuff. Every minute is precious time. It takes so long that I always try to have it working in the background. Oh dear. With that out of the way, I think it's time to put back the workstation. If you remember the last episode, I aligned it with the chunk in this direction, so it should be this block. Now to find a place for it. I'm thinking this far away might do it, should leave plenty of room for the central building. Or maybe not, this is a whole lot closer than I thought would be. If I place it right here, there are still a couple of chunks until the edge. I think that should be enough. Yeah, I think so. There goes the rail. There goes the cart, with a massive lag spike apparently. Geez, that was rough. But the workstation seemed to be doing fine though, at least everything seems to be here. See what I meant? It's barely at the edge of it. This perimeter honestly looks a whole lot bigger than it actually is, not gonna lie. But I think that it should be enough. Yeah, this looks good. Now, should I bring a cart assembler, or I risk it and just break the cart? Surely nothing bad will happen. Okay, so far so good. I was removing the anchor blocks and I believe that everything is in order. I will have to run it to make sure, but I don't see anything missing, other than the depots that got left behind. I'm already dreading having to open this thing again and fill it up with lava. While I take care of that, I'm also going to start building the rest of the workstation. I'm still missing the crushers, the mechanical crafters, and so much more in there. If it doesn't take me too long, I have a really sick idea for a nether portal that I might also try to make in this episode, and if I have even more time, maybe I will start with the storage system too. I have an idea or two on how to do that. But enough talking, it's time to get serious. This character is so cute, I can't stop looking at it. First things first, the steam engine, that needs to go away. I'm going to mark out where the portal is going to be, just to lay down the proportions. The main power will obviously be another steam engine, but I'm going for two T9 engines this time. This workstation will require a lot of power, and I want to place down a flight anchor, which requires around 130,000 stress units. Two engines won't cut it in the long term, but it should be enough for this section of the base, plus a couple of extra farms. I have made myself a list of the machines I want to have in the workstation, so my idea is, lay down the basic concept for each of the machines, mostly so I know how much space I need for each one. Then when everything is laid out, I will go one by one making sure everything works and doing some tweaks here and there. I also decided to use Tom's Simple Storage for the logistics of the machines. I generally don't use storage mods, so I thought it would be a nice change from my usual builds, and I also have a couple of ideas to connect this workstation into the main storage system. But probably the biggest reason is that, with this texture pack, Tom's storage honestly looks amazing. They have the same brass tone that I'm already using for the rest of the workstation, so it honestly fits perfectly. As usual with this kind of builds, doing the first couple of stations is the hard part, once you figure out the basics, especially the proportions and the main logistics. Building the rest of the machines becomes more trivial. Most of them require minimal changes. This workstation might look unnecessarily big, and it honestly probably is. This season I have decided that I want to build big stuff. I want to make each farm become the best I can do, and if that means they are gonna be massive in size, then that's what I want to do. I think building super small and compact is incredibly fun, but that's what I always do, so I want to change that a little bit, and just have some fun in the process. Obviously, not everything is going to be incredibly efficient or massive, for no real reason. I still want to be sensible when it comes to the builds. Although, I say that while I'm digging a massive hole to later on spend weeks doing some epic terraforming, so take that with a grain of salt, I guess. I also decided to go for the turbine idea I had on the last episode. I need some power to run the steam engine anyway, so I thought it was worth a shot, see how that ends up looking. And there it is, the workstation in all its glory. And with a very cursed looking nether portal. I'm joking, there is so much more to be done. 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬, cue the time lapse. It's been several days, partially because I had to fix and tweak many details of the workstation, but also because I have been spending a considerable amount of time in the server trying to find a weird bug that is making some recipes to simply vanish. I'm not even kidding, one day they are there, the next day the recipes are gone, and nothing changed in the server. I think the server might be haunted, to be honest. But look what I've got. 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬 came by and gave me a second trident. I can finally have a loyalty one. Now I can finally do this. Surely, that's not gonna hit me, right? Oh dear, that was closer than I thought it would be. But anyway, let's take a look at the final product, shall we? Now where should we start? Maybe with the portal. It's a shame that this side looks a bit glitchy because I honestly think it's an amazing portal. The texturing on the sides ended up looking quite fantastic, but also the other side of it. From this angle, it actually looks as it should, and the turbine effect is just amazing. This is exactly what I had in mind when I thought about building a turbine. All of the straight sides are made with copycat panels, because I didn't want it to look too bulky. But funnily enough, this came up by mistake. I didn't want to add too many details onto it, and as I was filling up the copycats, it gave me the idea of not adding details, and just making the texturing look interesting enough to not need those details in the first place. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but basically, instead of building something very complex and intricate, I thought it would look cooler to make a simple design and add the details with the texturing instead. And I honestly think it looks super cool. I really like how the steam engine looks, but maybe I could do the same in here. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe that's a bit too much. But I really like this idea though, it makes it look a bit more industrial, I think. Let me know in the comments if I should keep it like this, so it looks like structural support, or simply fill in all of the holes with copper. With the same theme of keeping things simple, I made myself some sort of air tank for the lava generation. What I did was make sure that the glass is always surrounded by blocks, so it looks like it's properly framed, and not just randomly boxed in glass. It's super simple, but there is enough detail on the inside already, so it looks pretty nice. I added a couple of trapdoors underneath, just in case I need to do maintenance or something in here. And a few more at the front in case I need to fix something with the lava loop. The rest is the same simple setup, with a mechanical arm to feed all the blazes, and 2 depots underneath to cycle the buckets around. As for the decorations at the front, I was initially trying to cover it as a temporary thing, but I ended up loving how this looks. I really like how it's mostly glass, and then some parts with metal to cover the machines. I think it's a pretty good touch. And used the same style for the rest of the workstation, keeping it simple with the details, and adding variation with different shapes of copper and prismarine. I think they look like cute little stalls. I love it. Something that I would love your input on is those colored signs I added. I tried them out on this side too. I normally have the input barrel on top of it, and then the output at the bottom. In my mind, it feels more What is this piece of deep slate doing here? Huh. Well anyway, I keep mixing them up because I try to dump the materials on the top barrel, so I thought I would add colors to quickly distinguish between them. The pink letters will stay because I really like how those look, but what do you think of the colors in general? Does it look good? Does it fit with the rest? I personally think I like it a lot. It's a nice touch. What are you doing, my dude? Having fun riding the turbine? Anyway, signs. Should I keep those colors? For reference, the alternative is the base ones. I think these combine really well with the build, but compared to the others, they look a bit more boring now. Green and orange might not necessarily combine with the color palette, but I honestly think it adds a nice touch to it, like those colored lights that some machines have. You can also see them on this side. Let me know what you think of it, and which one seems better. Might especially be useful for this one that has more inputs on it. If we take a peek at the back, I have also changed a couple of things in there. I think it looks really awesome. I was originally hiding all of the Tom's components because many of them can't be waterlogged and they look weird underwater. But I think that the few I left in here just combine so well with the rest. It's a really amazing touch. I really love the textures of them. Up close you can notice that the hoppers aren't waterlogged, but let me show you how this works. I should have some ores on the smelting station. Alright, so we dump the ores on the input barrel, it gets processed really quickly, and boom, we have all the blocks on the output barrel. Nice and simple. It all starts with a chute to extract the materials, which then get moved into the cable connector. That moves the items into the inventory connector, which will distribute the items among all of the inventories in the network. In this case, the basins. At the back we have a hopper for each one of those basins, which will extract the resulting products. Then the hoppers move the items into the next inventory connector. You can think of these connectors as the core of the network. You always need at least one of these, so Tom's recognizes it as a network. Because the connector has no storage in it, the items will continue forward until they reach the next barrel. If you're wondering why I have another connector in here, that's because I thought it looks better, to be honest. Looking at it from this angle, it's much more similar to the chute than the connector would be. I think it looks good. Next, we have mechanical saws, which for now, it's mostly used to convert logs into planks. The setup is exactly the same as before, with the connector to distribute the items. The mechanical saws will spit the items forward, so, on the other side I'm using a bunch of chutes to gather the materials. Those get collected with the cable connectors underneath. And use the same concept as before to be moved into the output barrel. I want to explain something that is quite important when using toms. These hoppers here will create a direction in the network. They extract the items from the basins and move them along the network. In the same way, these chutes also create a direction, dumping the items into the network and forcing it to move forward. That's what is pushing the items into the barrel. If there was no storage in the network, the items would remain stuck on those chutes forever. Editor 𝐋𝐢𝐧𝐤𝐬 here to clarify what that means. Let's say we have a network with any kind of inventory. In order for items to go in and out of said network, we need to create a directional force. That could be a chute forcing items into the system, or maybe a hopper extracting items from it. Simply connecting a basin to the network won't extract any of the items that the basin has, they will just remain there as part of the network. That's more or less how it works. You can see how I used the same idea for all of them. The only differences are the main actors, and the filters need to be adapted for each machine. For the case of the millstones, I ended up using hoppers underneath, which work in the same way. But that's mainly because I couldn't add the Tom's hoppers at the back, like I did with the other machines. The rose quartz machine is a bit more interesting. The core of it is the same as the ones before, but I have added a bunch of stuff at the back. We need sandpaper in order to polish the quartz. So I build a little machine that will craft it for us. We can dump a ton of paper and sand in there, and it will produce the sandpaper for us. That will feed the deployers from above, with the connectors that are hidden in here. And all of the excess will get stored in the barrel above, since that one is also part of the network. The beauty of it is that if a deployer runs out of paper, another one pops up. That's because I'm using another hopper underneath the barrel. I'm honestly really pleased with how this buffer barrel turned out. I might use this idea more often in the future. For the machine to make casings, we go back to the same setup again. This time it also has a secondary barrel to feed the deployers from the side. Everything else will work in the exact same way. The cutting board also has the same setup, but it might sound weird. What does this machine even do? Farmer's Delight adds a bunch of recipes that are exclusive to the cutting board. Some of them are not particularly useful for us. But then we have stuff like the block of quartz, which can be turned back into nether quartz. All of these recipes have compatibility with deployers, which is really nice, because some of those recipes are really good. Each of the recipes requires a specific tool, which means that we will have to filter the hoppers, and add the tools on the deployers manually. This is meant for bulk processing, so it shouldn't be an issue. Basically, dump a ton of materials, set up the station, and let it run for an hour. I could have simply used any of the machines that also have deployers, but what's the fun in that? And maybe I want to use several machines at the same time. Then we have another deployer machine, but this time with honeycombs. I added recipes so we can bulk wash the copper between the different states of oxidation. But if we wax the copper blocks, we also gain access to all of the chipped variants for that oxidation state. The coolest part is that those honeycombs never run out of honey. I have used them to wax hundreds of blocks already and the combs are still there. Which is ideal when you are using this much copper as I am. But let's continue. Crushing wheels, 3 of them. That should give a decent processing rate. Same concept as before, but this time it gets distributed between the chutes. Anything that counts as an inventory works for Tom's storage. There is a belt in here that moves the items from underneath the chutes and into this connector over here. It's hard to see, but there is a funnel at the other side of this panel. We can kind of see the corner through the block. That will move it up into the output barrel as usual. Only 2 left to go. This one is a mixer. Uses the same concept as before to distribute the materials, but with 2 different connectors on different spots of them. There are also some blazes underneath in case we need to heat it up to make brass or something else. And it's extracting the resulting products with hoppers at the back like the rest of the machines. Now, sequenced crafting, this one I'm actually pretty proud of. It has 5 deployers and a mechanical press, which should take care of most of the recipes that I normally use. There are some recipes which require a mechanical saw, but I'm not particularly bothered about those. Every other recipe that only requires deployers and/or a press should work fine in here. Even this one that starts with a press should still work. The idea is to add the materials via those hoppers on the side. That can store up to 5 stacks, which should be decent for most purposes. There is also a hopper connected to the press, but that's just so it looks better. I kinda like how the machine turned up to be. But obviously, this is purely cosmetic. The important part is how this works. You can see how the brass block simply skips all of the deployers in here. That's because they are disabled. It will only remain in place if the deployers are active. This is where the light detectors come into play. Lever cannot be placed underwater, but these can, and they never receive light signals down here anyway. So this is essentially like having a lever, but underwater. We can try again with the brass block, and this time yes, it skips the first 2 deployers, but it gets stuck on the active one. That is how you can determine how many deployers you want to use for the recipe. I honestly think it's a super cool way of doing it, and it should be fairly multi-purpose. I'm achieving the loop by having a cable connector behind this funnel. That forces the items all the way to the inventory connector that is behind the first funnel, which is also connected to the barrel. Only certain items will make it out of the funnel, and get crafted in the belt. So the rest of the items will simply remain in the barrel as usual. This can also be done with Create, but I honestly love the simplicity that Tom's achieved. And I think that is all. We went over every machine I made today. Aesthetically, I think it looks pretty cool. I like the little stall vibe it gives, and I honestly enjoyed building very simple designs, and just making them look more interesting via block variations. Let me know what you think about it so far, if you like it, and what other ideas the humans might have for this theme. And while you are there, also let me know about the signs. I kinda like the colored ones a bit better. I think this pops out a bit more. Oh, and also the structural blocks, do those look good, or it looks kinda weird? I wanna hear your opinions and ideas. But this will have to be it for this episode. I'm already 1 day later than my usual schedule. Which, I'm sorry if anyone was expecting the video for Friday evening as I usually do. I had a metric ton of server management to do, mostly trying to fix some crafting recipes that keep glitching out. But that's a story for another day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see the humans next time.